Hello, class. How are you? Here we are again for another lesson. So today our lesson is going to be about the foundations of government. Let me share my screen with you. Here we go. So we're going to talk about the foundations of government. Let me move here up here to the corner. Here we go. So as you all know, a government is a group of people who have the power to make and enforce laws for a country or area. So the government has some basic purposes, which are to keep order, to provide services, and to protect the common good and well-being of the people. Protecting the common good can be things like building roads and building schools or defend the country from attack. Governments also collect taxes from people and businesses to pay for the services and goods that they provide. So all the taxes that we pay as citizens or as businesses, the government uses all that money to build public schools, to fix the highways, to build streets, to have street lights, to build bridges, to build hospitals, etc. That's why we pay taxes, so that the government can take care of all these actions to protect the people. The origins of government go way back in prehistory. Even when the groups of people were very, very small, they often tended to choose a leader. So the purpose of government hasn't changed much throughout history. In ancient times, when small groups of people lived together, they usually chose a leader, which for the most part used to be probably the oldest person in the group or the priest. And the function of this leader or priest was to keep the order and make decisions for the group. So all throughout history, there have been forms of government, even if they were very simple ones. But small groups of people, they have always had a leader. Even today, when we do things like group work or something, we always choose a leader, somebody who's going to be in charge, and it's going to distribute the work amongst all the people in the group. So that's a small form of government. More than 5,000 years ago, more complex forms of government started to develop in Southwest Asia. And that was when groups of people grew larger and they started settling into villages that became cities eventually. Because remember that for a very long time, groups of people were nomads. But once they started settling down into villages, these villages started growing and eventually they became big cities. So people realized that they needed an organized way to resolve problems and oversee tasks that affected all the community, such as irrigation canals or the distribution of food. So they formed governments to manage all these tasks and all these actions. Here we have a picture of ancient Greece, for example, and we have the leader over here, and we have the people stating their opinions and trying to solve things related with the community's benefits. Most governments have a constitution. So a constitution, it's a system of rules and regulations by which a government is organized. It also states the rights of the citizens and identifies the powers that a government has. The Constitution, and this is very important, okay? The Constitution limits the powers of a government by having rules that they must follow. So the government has to follow the rules of the Constitution. A Constitution is going to state all the rules and regulations, but very important, it's also going to state the rights of the citizens so that the government cannot have all the power, so that the citizens also have their own rights. So Government powers can be limited or unlimited. In a limited government, the structure in which the government powers are limited, it's by the law or by a constitution. So that limits the power of a government. In limited governments, they work to protect the common good and provide for people's needs. For example, in the United States and Mexico, government actions are limited to protect people's individual freedom. Very important, like freedom of speech, freedom of religion, and freedom to choose whatever they want to choose. In a limited government, people have the freedom to express their opinion. And this is like super important because it's a type of government, the limited government, it's a type of government in which the people participate in making the laws and in making the rules and regulations because they have freedom of speech and the government has to listen to them to change the policies and change the rules to adapt to the community's needs. On the other hand, well, for example, here we have a picture, and this is a group of people making a protest outside the White House in the United States, probably because there are some things that they do not agree with and they want to make changes. On the other hand, we have the unlimited government. In an unlimited government, there are no limits to the government actions. The people cannot have opinions and they cannot have freedom of speech. So the government controls everything. In an unlimited government, for example, in China, a ruler, which is one person, or a small group of people, has all the power to make all the decisions for the country and for the society. So unlimited governments do not protect the citizens' basic rights, and they can restrict their freedom. So in a system of limited power, the people do not have the freedom to state their opinions, to manifest, to ask for changes. They have absolutely no opinion, they have no participation. The government controls absolutely everything. And the problem is that with this kind of government that has so much power, it can lead to what we call a tyranny. And a tyranny, it's the unjust use of power. For example, here we have an example of people trying to manifest their opinions and they are being overpowered by the police because they're not allowed to state their opinions. They do not have freedom of speech. They cannot participate in the government. The government takes all the decisions. In limited power, officials are limited by law, okay? So in this case, the law would be the Constitution. It lets the government know how the people feel about an issue. This means the people can participate and tell the government, listen, we don't like this. We need the roads to be fixed. There has to be some intervention of the government to fix the streets because the streets are in a bad condition. So the people have the freedom to talk and state their opinions and state their needs. This way, the government then can change its policies to reflect the feelings of the people, okay? So in limited power governments, the people have a participation versus in unlimited power, the government officials have no limit. They can do whatever they want. They are not listening to the people and they do whatever they want. They do not respect the law. They do not have a constitution. And the government doesn't want the people to participate in making rules and does not allow the people to protest against the leaders. So this is our class for today. This is our class for today. It's very important to consider this difference between limited power and unlimited power. So You can watch the video again so you can have a more clear idea of what a limited power and an unlimited power is. And I will see you in our next class.